Ward Chalmers Degler was born to Roy and Marion Degler on May 4, 1935, in Phillips, Wisconsin. The nation was in its 6th year of the Great Depression. Roy, a forester from Indiana, earned $2 a day as a superintendent in President Franklin D. Roosevelt's Civilian Conservation Corps, the CCC. As a supervisor, Roy and his family received housing which over the years of Ward's childhood included abandoned farmhouses, a fire tower cabin, a walk-up apartment, and a one-room log cabin. Ward recalls that his family first experienced running water inside their house when he was 11 in 1946, the year his parents bought their first home.
From his earliest memory, Ward's first love was, and always has been, art. At 3, he was already drawing pictures of everything he saw or imagined. Ward's hunger for drawing caused a serious paper shortage in the Degler home. This led to Father Roy working out a deal with a local printing company in which they gave him all their misprints so that Ward could draw on the back of the papers. Ward never learned the details of his father's deal with the printer. Ward's passion for art eventually led him to study at the Kansas City Art Institute. While there, he came to grips with the likelihood of a life of poverty if he continued in that discipline as his sole means of support. It was there in Kansas City that his career plans turned to journalism. Like so many young men of that time, Ward's ticket to the future was through the military. He joined the Army and came to serve as a combat medic in a Mobile Army Surgical Hospital, MASH, unit. Just as his father was the beneficiary of President Franklin D. Roosevelt's Civilian Conservation Corps, Ward was able to seek higher education through his military service via President Roosevelt's GI Bill of Rights. He attended the Missouri School of Journalism, where he was graduated in 1962.
Ward's first post-graduation job was the Jefferson City News-Tribune. He was a feature editor and writer of a weekly column called Outdoors in the Ozarks. Ward's early years growing up in the family of a conservationist had left a permanent impression upon him. Ward wrote about hunting, fishing, boating, dog training, and other things in the Missouri outdoors. But fortunately for all of us, Ward never lost his passion for art. As a journalist, the perfect venting of his need to draw was via editorial cartoons, and his backwoodsy humor about local politics hit the mark. Even in his early journalism years, Ward was good at his craft, so good that his employer nominated him for a Pulitzer Prize. This honor brings to expose another critical facet in the life of Ward Degler, his special devotion to his brother Jerry, who struggled all of his life with mental disease. The articles for which Ward was being nominated for the Pulitzer were to expose the unacceptable conditions of a local mental health hospital.
From the Missouri heartland, Ward moved for a job with the Associated Press, and from there, Ward was commissioned in the Navy. As a naval officer, Ward eventually became the supervisor of the White House Photo Lab under President John F. Kennedy. One of Ward's saddest memories is he and his staff creating a photo archive of all the mourners along the presidential funeral parade following President Kennedy's assassination. From the office of the president, Ward was then sent to join military journalists documenting the Vietnam War. Following his military service, Ward returned to the Associated Press. From there, he eventually entered into corporate communications in Minneapolis. And from there, Ward completed his salaried career as creative director of marketing for the American Legion, which is headquartered in Indianapolis.
Today, Ward is a noted artist and an author. He has for a number of years written a weekly column for the Zionsville Times-Sentinel. In June 2011, a selection of his columns was published as a book which he called The Dark Ages of My Youth and Times More Recent. But Ward would be the first to tell you that a man's worth is not measured so much by what he has done as by the stories that are written and pictures that are painted on other people's hearts. And in this, Ward has known the pain of loves failed and the joy of many of those loves restored.
An early attempt at marriage brought 4 girls into the world, girls with whom Ward would become best acquainted as adults.
In the matters of the heart, things started to come around for Ward while he was working in corporate video in Minneapolis. He was told to meet with a woman in Indianapolis.
It was 1978. The two of them were to go to Ohio to interview a potential client for Ward's firm. The woman's name was Jeannie Hodge, a Roman Catholic woman divorced with 5 children.
When Ward and I met, we were both a mess. But you know how God works, and God really worked in our lives.
Conversion is not a moment. It is a lifelong calling home to God by the Holy Spirit. In this calling, Ward was and continues to be Jeannie's disciple. They married on November 23, 1980. She a Catholic, he a man searching.
One of the things I really loved about him when I met him was how he embraced all of my children and my family, and I have a big family, and they embraced him too.
4 years passed. God had brought Ward Chalmers Degler to the catechetical school of the inquisitive, bright, and God-seeking Jeannie Hodge Degler.
I loved my faith. I had it internally, but I didn't know how to explain it. And in early 1984, at St. Alphonsus, they offered classes on Vatican II. Well, I had been working when they had all the classes at St. Alphonsus, and I hadn't gone to any, so I wanted to go. And I asked Ward to go, and he went, begrudgingly. He always says he braced his leg, he braced his knee. And I think when he left there, I really think that he had been touched. He wasn't quite there yet. He wasn't quite ready yet. But something happened that summer.
As only the Holy Spirit can do, the moment of awakening happened.
I had gone to Mass on Saturday morning, and after Mass, it was the 7:30 Mass, and it was all the Cursillo people went there. And right after Mass, Father said, the men of the parish are having a breakfast, and they'd like to invite the women to come. And so I thought, okay, I wanted to go, and I called Ward, and I said, I'm not going to be coming home right away, that there's a breakfast here, and I'd really like it if you'd come up and join me. And he did. I was surprised, but he did. And I think that was a turning point in his life. He, afterwards, after he listened to the witness of the speaker, and I think it was Dick Shriver, he wanted what they had. He wanted what those fellows had.
Ward's heart exploded with love. Jesus Christ was real. Jesus Christ was alive. Ward entered the church on December 8, 1984. He fell headlong into Cursillo, and he fell headlong into Seeds of Hope, a ministry for women adrift led by Father Glenn O'Connor. And the artist within Ward Chalmers Degler awakened, taking on eternal dimension. Ward stands proudly and repentantly, healed and healer. Ward and Jeannie now journey together, ever the best partners, ever the best team. They have learned to share their love in holy family community.
It's been marvelous. It's been marvelous to be able to walk together. And my faith has grown as Ward's faith grew. It's really been special, special to walk with Ward and to walk with you.